Hey everyone, welcome back. Therapy is something a lot of us think about. Maybe you're already in therapy,
Hmm.
or maybe it's just this big, mystery.
Yeah, for sure.
So today we're doing a deep dive into this article, and the article is called Five Mistakes People Make in Therapy.
Um,
Kind of think of this as like your cheat sheet to getting the most out of it,
yeah,
you know?
I like that. It's a journey.
Yeah,
And knowing the bumps, the potential bumps in the road that can make a huge difference. And also, I think just a little bit of self-awareness goes a long way.
totally. Okay, so mistake number one.
Hmm.
This is trying to impress your therapist. And I can see this happening. It's a new situation. You want to make a good impression. I,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like a first date,
Totally.
except for your mental health.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
we want to present, this polished version of ourselves.
Yeah,
But that's kind of that sabotages the whole
it
process.
does.
Because if you're hiding parts of yourself, your therapist is working with incomplete information. And it's like going to the doctor and saying you're a marathon runner when you haven't even jogged around the block.
Yeah. Oh, God, I've totally been there.
Yeah.
Like early on in my own therapy,
Yeah.
I would really downplay how much anxiety I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, oh, I should have this handled by now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we think vulnerability is weakness, but it's really the key to unlocking the door to real progress.
Yeah. I think something that might be helpful for you to think about is what is one specific fear that you've been hesitant to share with your therapist?
Mm.
And make a commitment to bring that up in your next session.
Oh, wow.
I think just like that one act of vulnerability can shift the whole dynamic.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that, but that makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
Okay. Mistake number two is expecting quick fixes. And we live in a world of instant gratification.
We do.
So it's natural to want those instant results,
Yeah,
especially when we're struggling.
totally. And who wouldn't want to just feel better right away? But, imagine going to the gym one time and expecting to be able to run a marathon the next day.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
No.
And therapy, it's about unraveling, deeply ingrained patterns, like sometimes from childhood.
Yeah.
And it's like untangling a really knotted rope. Like it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes the right tools.
So we need to adjust our expectations a bit.
Yeah.
What's a more realistic way to think about the timeline for, progress?
Well, I think it depends. It varies depending on what you're working on. But I think rather than focusing so much on that endpoint, try shifting your mindset to appreciating the process.
Okay.
So what small changes are you noticing? What new insights are you gaining about yourself? Celebrate those wins, those little wins,
Yeah.
because they're paving the way for bigger transformations down the line.
Right. I like that. So it's not all about reaching the finish line.
Yeah.
It's about, recognizing the growth that's happening along the way. Okay, on to mistake number three. Avoiding certain topics and not being direct. And this one makes a lot of sense to me
It does.
because it can be tough to open up about those really, really, sensitive or painful things, even to someone you trust.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's human nature to want to avoid discomfort. But here's the thing, though. Those untouchable topics, those are often the keys to unlock deeper understanding and healing.
Ooh.
And it's like having this huge elephant in the room and you're kind of tiptoeing around it, pretending it's not there.
Yeah, totally. And I've been there, there was this specific event from my past that I, danced around for weeks in therapy.
Hmm.
And then, finally I just brought it up, and it was like this weight was lifted. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So what can you do if you find yourself avoiding something?
I think journaling about it before bringing it up in therapy can be really helpful.
Okay.
Because it allows you to process your thoughts and emotions. So it makes it easier to articulate them in session.
Okay. Doesn't that feel like extra homework?
It can, but it's like you're creating a roadmap.
Yeah.
So you could even share those journal entries with your therapist or just use them as a reference during your conversation. Another option is to email your therapist in advance,
Oh.
So that might feel less daunting than bringing it up cold in session.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered being honest and open, even when it's uncomfortable. What about believing your therapist is always right? I mean, isn't that kind of the point?
It's tempting to see therapists as these all-knowing gurus,
Yeah.
with a magic wand. But they're human,
Right.
just like you and me. They have their own experiences, they have their own biases, and even blind spots.
Wait, so they're not always right?
Not always, no. Think of it as a partnership where you're both bringing something to the table.
Okay.
You are the expert on your own life, on your thoughts, your feelings. And if something your therapist says doesn't resonate with you,
Yeah.
it's okay to challenge them.
Oh, wow.
I think constructive disagreements can actually be incredibly valuable because it shows you're actively engaging in the process.
That's a new perspective.
Yeah.
It makes me feel more empowered, like
Yeah.
like I have a voice in the process.
You absolutely do. Therapy's about, like, co-creating a path to healing,
Right.
not blindly following someone else's map.
I love that. Okay, I'm definitely going to try to be more vocal in my sessions from now on. And finally, mistake number 5 is keeping therapy in therapy.
Yeah. This is a classic one. It's like learning to play piano but only practicing during your lesson.
Yeah.
You're not going to make much progress.
Not a concert pianist anytime soon.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. What does this look like in therapy, though?
So the real magic happens when you take those therapeutic tools, the insights, and apply them to your everyday life.
Right.
So imagine you're learning like a new communication skill in therapy.
Yeah?
The real test is using that skill in your relationship outside of session.
Ooh, okay. So therapy's kind of like a training ground for life.
Yeah. It's like a laboratory where you experiment with new ways of being, new ways of thinking, new ways of relating. But the real experiment happens out in the world, in your interactions with other people, in your responses to stress, in your daily choices.
Wow, that's powerful. So, I mean, therapy is just 1 hour a week, but the remaining 167 hours offer like endless opportunities to practice those new skills and insights. But how do we actually bridge that gap?
That's a great question. A lot of it comes down to awareness,
Okay.
Start noticing how those therapeutic concepts show up in your daily life. Maybe you're feeling anxious in a situation and you remember, oh, my therapist taught me this grounding technique, Or you're able to set a boundary with a friend because of the communication skills you've been working on. Like those little moments, that's where the real transformation happens.
Yeah. I'm starting to see how these seemingly small mistakes can actually have like a ripple effect on the entire therapy process. It's about being intentional, engaged, and like bringing those therapeutic insights into like every corner of our lives.
Yeah, it's about weaving those threads of self-awareness, vulnerability, and growth into the fabric of our everyday existence.
I love that. And that's where the real magic unfolds. God, this is already making me think about my own WN therapy in a totally different way. I'm definitely going to be more mindful of these mistakes moving forward.
Yeah.
But before we dive deeper into like how to actually apply these insights, let's take a quick pause. We'll be right back.
So welcome back. Before we jump back into those mistakes, I think it's worth highlighting like the importance of the therapeutic relationship itself.
Okay. You mean like the connection that you have with your therapist? Isn't that kind of like obvious?
It is absolutely fundamental, but it's often overlooked.
Okay.
Research shows that a strong bond with your therapist is actually one of the biggest predictors of positive outcomes. And it's not just about like the techniques or the strategies, but it's about feeling safe, understood, and truly seen by that person.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of like having a supportive friend who also happens to have like a deep understanding of the mind.
It's more than just friendship, though.
Right.
They offer like a blend of empathy and expertise that creates like this unique space for healing.
Yeah.
They can challenge you in ways that a friend might not,
Right.
while still holding that space for you to be vulnerable.
So finding the right therapist is kind of like dating. You have to like try out a few before you find, quote unquote, the one.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Like, it's absolutely worth shopping around until you find someone who feels like a good fit.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to try a few different therapists before settling on one.
Okay. Good advice.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's loop back to those 5 mistakes.
Yep.
We left off talking about keeping therapy in therapy, and I'm starting to see how that can be a trap. It's like learning a new skill but never putting it into practice.
Yeah. Exactly. Think of it this way. Your therapist is like a personal trainer who like shows you the exercises.
Yeah.
But you have to do them to see results.
Right. Okay. So the therapy section is the classroom, but the real world is the gym.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. But how do we make that leap? What are some like concrete things we can do?
Well, first, make sure you're actually doing any homework your therapist gives you.
Oof, homework.
I know.
Okay, but I get it. I mean, it's like those worksheets in school that helped like solidify what you learned.
Think of them as like field trips
Okay.
for your mental well-being.
Yeah.
They're designed to help you apply those new skills and insights in real-life situations.
Okay. Another key is to consciously practice.
Yes.
So, like, let's say you're learning communication skills in therapy. Right?
Yeah.
You would try, like, using those techniques in your next conversation with your partner.
Yes.
Or your friend.
Yes.
It's like taking those communication skills out for a test drive.
Exactly. And remember, like, those 167 hours outside of therapy,
Yeah.
those are your training ground for growth.
Wow. Reframing it that way makes it feel, like, less daunting.
Yeah.
It's not about being perfect all the time, but rather, like, those small, consistent efforts
Yes.
to, like, put those tools into practice.
Yes. And don't forget to reflect.
Okay.
Like, notice how you're using those tools in your daily life.
Yeah.
Even in small ways. Maybe
Yeah.
you're able to, like, catch yourself in a negative thought pattern and reframe it
Right.
because of the work you're doing in therapy.
Yeah. I'm starting to see how all these pieces, like, fit together. It's about, like, making therapy an active part of our lives.
Yeah.
Not just something that happens, like, once a week in a therapist's office.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of feeling hesitant, like, I think it's worth addressing that fear of judgment, which often keeps people from even starting therapy.
Oh, yeah. That could be a huge hurdle. It's like,
Yeah.
am I going to be judged for my thoughts, for my feelings,
Yeah.
for my whole life story?
Yeah. It's understandable to feel that way, especially if you've had experiences where, you haven't felt safe to open up.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Therapists are trained to be non-judgmental listeners.
Okay.
Their goal is to help you understand yourself better, not to criticize you.
Okay. So it's more about, like, curiosity than judgment.
Exactly. They've likely heard it all before, and nothing you share is going to shock them.
That's reassuring.
It's like
Yeah.
that saying, you can't shock a therapist.
Right. Yeah. Think of it as, like, a confidential vault where you can safely store those thoughts and feelings that you might not, feel comfortable sharing elsewhere.
Yeah. Therapy is a sanctuary for the mind and heart.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier, resistance. What is that exactly?
Yeah.
And why does it come up in therapy?
So resistance is that natural tendency we all have to, like, push back against change, even when we know it's good for us.
Right.
It's like hitting the snooze button on personal growth.
Yeah.
And it can show up, like, in different ways, skipping sessions, downplaying your struggles, or even, like, avoiding certain topics in therapy.
Oh, God. I can see myself doing all of those things.
Yeah.
It's like having, like, one foot on the gas pedal and the other foot on the brake.
Yeah. That's a great analogy.
Yeah. So how can we recognize and overcome resistance in therapy?
Yeah. So, awareness is the first step.
Okay. So if awareness is the first step, what comes next?
Like, be curious about why you're resisting.
Yeah.
What's the underlying fear or discomfort?
Yeah.
Maybe you're afraid of what you might uncover, or you're worried about, like, the effort it will take to change.
Right. That makes sense. So instead of judging ourselves for resisting,
Yeah.
we can view it as, like, an opportunity to learn more about ourselves and what might be holding us back.
Exactly. It's about, like, gently untangling a knot rather than, like, yanking on it and making it tighter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
This whole conversation is making me realize how much of therapy is about, like, mindset.
Yes.
It's not just about talking to someone once a week. It's about, like, approaching the whole process with, like, intentionality and curiosity.
Yes, you're getting it. And speaking of mindset, I think it's important to, like, bust a common myth. Therapy isn't just for people who are, quote unquote, really struggling or have serious mental health issues.
You mean, like, anyone can benefit from therapy?
Absolutely. It can be beneficial for anyone who wants to improve their mental well-being, enhance their relationships, or simply, like, gain greater self-awareness.
Okay.
It's like going to the gym for your mind.
Right.
You don't have to be out of shape to benefit from exercise.
That's a perfect analogy. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Therapy can help you build mental strength, resilience, and emotional intelligence. It's like having a personal coach for your life,
Right.
helping you navigate challenges, achieve your goals, and live a more fulfilling life.
I love that. It's not just about, like, fixing what's broken, but about, like, enhancing what's already there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sold. But what about those people who are, like, hesitant to start therapy because they don't think they have enough time or money.
Yeah, I mean, those are valid concerns.
Yeah.
And it's important to acknowledge the barriers that exist.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Prioritizing your mental health is an investment
Okay.
in your overall well-being.
Yeah.
It's like putting money in a savings account for your future self.
I never thought of it that way. But that makes so much sense.
And as for time, even small increments can make a difference. Maybe you start with one session a month or explore online therapy options that fit your schedule.
Right.
The key is to make it a priority and to find what works best for you.
Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground in terms of like mindset and overcoming those like initial hurdles.
Yeah.
But once you're actually in therapy,
Yeah.
what kind of expectations should you have?
That's a great question. It's important to remember that therapy is not like a magic wand that will instantly erase all your problems.
Right.
You know, it's more like a compass
Yeah.
that guides you towards like a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
And just like any journey, there will be like ups and downs and detours
Yeah.
and moments of frustration.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But with patience, perseverance, and a willingness to embrace the process, you can achieve profound growth and transformation.
Okay, so instead of like focusing on a specific outcome, focus on like the journey itself.
Yes.
Embrace the lessons, the challenges, and the insights along the way.
Yeah, it's about showing up for yourself even when it's difficult and trusting that the process will unfold in its own time.
And celebrating those small victories along the way.
Yeah.
Like each step forward, no matter how small, is a testament to your like commitment to your well-being.
Exactly. Now, I know a lot of people wonder about like the timeline.
Yeah.
Like how long does it actually take to see results in therapy?
Yeah, that's a big one. Everyone wants to know, when am I going to feel better?
It's a tough question to answer because everyone's journey is unique. You know, some people might experience like significant shifts in a few sessions, while others might need months or even years of therapy.
Yeah. It's like asking, like, how long does it take to run a marathon, right? Depends on your fitness level, your training plan,
Exactly.
and your individual goals.
Yes. The duration of therapy, it depends on a variety of factors. The nature of your concerns, the depth of the work you're doing, and your commitment to the process.
And it's important to remember that progress isn't always linear, right? Like there might be periods of like rapid growth followed by like plateaus or even setbacks.
That's perfectly normal. It's like climbing a mountain. There will be moments when you feel like you're making great strides.
Yeah.
And other times when you feel like you're barely moving.
Right. But as long as you keep putting one foot in front of the other, you'll eventually reach the summit.
Yes. It's about trusting the process, even when it feels challenging, and knowing that you're not alone on this journey.
Yeah. And remember, you don't have to climb the mountain alone, right? Your
Yeah.
therapist is there to support you, guide you, and celebrate your victories along the way.
Exactly. Now let's switch gears a bit and talk about self-care.
Okay.
It's not just something you do during your therapy sessions, but it's an integral part of your overall well-being.
Yeah. So it's about like incorporating those self-care practices into your daily routine, even when you're not like actively in therapy.
Absolutely. Think of it as nurturing your mental and emotional health just like you would your physical health.
Yeah. It's like brushing your teeth and flossing for your mind.
I love that analogy.
Yeah. What are some self-care practices that you incorporate into your life?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, I struggle with this sometimes.
Yeah.
It's easy to let self-care slip when life gets busy.
Totally.
But you know, some things that help me are like taking walks in nature,
Yeah.
listening to music, and even just having like a cup of tea in silence.
Yeah.
Those are great examples. The key is to find activities that nourish your soul and bring you joy. It's about creating those little pockets of peace and rejuvenation in your day.
Yeah. It's like giving yourself permission to like recharge and refuel.
Exactly. And remember, like, self-care isn't selfish.
Right.
You know, it's an act of self-love and compassion that allows you to show up as your best self for others.
Yeah. It's like filling up your own cup so you can pour into others without depleting yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And it's an ongoing practice.
Yeah.
Not a one-time event. Make self-care a non-negotiable part of your routine, just like brushing your teeth or eating healthy meals.
Right. Yeah. Those small acts of self-care can have like a ripple effect on your your overall well-being.
Absolutely.
I'm feeling inspired to up my self-care game.
Okay, what about boundaries?
Yes.
I hear that word thrown around a lot, but what does it actually mean in the context of like therapy?
So boundaries are essential for healthy relationships, both with ourselves and with others.
Okay.
They're like fences
Yeah.
that protect our emotional space
Okay.
and prevent us from being overwhelmed or resentful.
So it's about knowing where your limits are and communicating them like clearly to others.
Exactly. It's about honoring your own needs and setting those limits with love and respect.
And it's not always easy, especially if you're used to like people pleasing
It's
or
not.
putting others' needs before your own.
Yeah.
Oh God, I definitely struggle with this.
It takes practice
Yeah.
and courage
Hmm.
to assert your boundaries, but the rewards are worth it. Trust me, I've been there myself. Okay, what are some like baby steps we can take to like start setting better boundaries? I'm ready to like ditch the people pleasing.
Yeah, start by identifying your needs and limits.
Okay.
What are the things that drain your energy or make you feel uncomfortable? It's like creating a personal no-fly zone
I like that.
for your emotional well-being.
My no-fly zone is definitely going to include guilt trips and emotional dumping.
Yes. Once you know your boundaries, communicate them clearly and assertively.
Mm.
Use I statements to express your needs without blaming or attacking others.
Okay.
So, for example, instead of saying, "You're always interrupting me,"
Yeah.
you could say, "I feel frustrated when I'm interrupted. Could you please let me finish my thought?"
Right. That's much better.
Yeah. And be prepared for pushback.
Yeah.
Some people might not like your boundaries,
Right.
but it's important to stand firm and honor your needs.
It's like holding up a stop sign and saying, this is where my line is.
Yes. And remember, setting boundaries is an act of self-respect and self-love.
Yeah.
It's about valuing your own time, energy, and emotional well-being.
It's about creating like healthy and balanced relationships
Mm-hmm.
where everyone's needs are met.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm starting to see how boundaries aren't about like being selfish, but actually about creating more space for love and respect.
Yeah, you got it. Now, shifting gears a bit, I want to bring up a topic that can be really tough to face. Shame.
Ooh, shame. That's a heavy one. I think we all struggle with that to some degree, right?
Yeah, for sure. Shame is like a heavy cloak that we wear,
Mm-hmm.
hiding our true selves from the world.
It's that voice in our heads that tells us we're not good enough
Yeah.
or that we don't deserve love and acceptance.
Yeah, and it thrives in secrecy.
Right.
So bringing it out into the open, especially in like the safe space of therapy, is a huge step towards healing.
So like naming it is the first step.
Exactly. And remember, you're not alone in feeling shame. It's a universal human experience.
Right.
And your therapist has likely encountered it many times before.
Yeah.
They can provide like a safe and compassionate space for you to explore those feelings without judgment.
Yeah, it's like having a supportive friend who's also like a skilled surgeon,
Mm-hmm.
helping you gently like remove those layers of shame.
And as you start to like unravel those shame-based beliefs,
Yeah.
you can begin to replace them with more positive and self-compassionate thoughts.
Yeah. It's about like rewriting those negative scripts
Yes.
and creating a new narrative of self-acceptance
Yes.
and worthiness.
And remember, healing from shame, it takes time and patience.
Okay.
It's an ongoing process, not a quick fix.
Right. But with each step you take towards self-compassion and acceptance, you'll shed a little more of that heavy cloak and reclaim your authentic self.
Yes, you got it. Now let's talk about forgiveness. I know it can be a loaded word, especially if you've been hurt or betrayed.
Yeah.
But in therapy, we explore forgiveness, not as like condoning harmful actions, but as a way to release ourselves from the burden of resentment and anger.
Okay, so it's about like choosing to let go of the pain of the past so we can move forward with like a lighter heart.
Exactly. And it's not always easy, especially if we've been like deeply hurt or betrayed.
Right. So how can we even like begin to cultivate forgiveness, especially when it feels impossible?
I think it starts with acknowledging the pain
Okay.
and validating our own experiences. It's important to honor those feelings and give them space to be expressed.
It's like tending to a wound before trying to heal it.
Yes, exactly. Then we can start to explore like the concept of forgiveness from a place of compassion and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about condoning the wrong. It's about recognizing that everyone makes mistakes, including ourselves.
Yeah. It's about releasing ourselves from like the prison of resentment
Yeah.
and opening the door to healing.
Exactly. And remember, like, forgiveness is a personal journey.
Okay.
It's not about the other person.
Yeah.
It's about freeing yourself from the burden of anger and bitterness.
It's about like reclaiming your own peace and well-being.
Yes, and sometimes forgiving ourselves can be the most challenging,
Ooh, yeah.
but also the most liberating act of all.
It's about recognizing that we're all perfectly imperfect beings, doing the best we can with the resources we have.
Yes.
Okay. This is starting to feel a little bit heavy.
Yeah, I know, right?
Can we talk about something more like uplifting? Like resilience?
Ooh, I love that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Resilience is that inner strength that allows us to bounce back from adversity and
Right.
keep moving forward. It's like having a mental and emotional shock absorber,
Yeah.
helping us navigate those bumps in the road.
So it's not about like avoiding challenges altogether, but rather about like learning how to cope with them in a healthy way.
Exactly. And therapy can be a powerful tool for building resilience.
Okay?
One key strategy is to reframe challenges as opportunities for growth.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of viewing setbacks as failures,
Yeah.
we can see them as valuable lessons
Right.
that help us learn and evolve.
Yeah, it's about like shifting our perspective
Mm-hmm.
and finding the silver lining in even like the most difficult situations. Yeah.
Exactly. And remember, setbacks, they're a normal part of life.
Okay.
Everyone faces challenges.
Right.
It's how we respond to them that determines our resilience.
Okay, so it's not about being like unbreakable, but about learning to like bend without breaking.
Yes, I love that.
I like that. What else can we do to like cultivate resilience?
Self-care is crucial.
Okay.
Taking care of our physical, emotional, and mental well-being gives us the strength and resources to cope with adversity. It's like fueling our inner fire so we can keep burning bright, even in the face of like strong winds.
I love that.
Yeah.
And what about leaning on others for support? Is that part of resilience too?
Absolutely. Don't forget the power of social connection.
Yeah.
Surrounding ourselves with supportive people who believe in us can give us the strength and encouragement we need to persevere.
Yeah. It's like having like a cheerleading squad for life.
Yeah.
Reminding us that we're not alone in this journey.
Yes, exactly. Those connections can provide like a sense of belonging, purpose, and hope, which are essential for building resilience.
Yeah, I love that. No, let's tackle a big one, uncertainty.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of not knowing what the future holds. And it can be incredibly unsettling.
It can. So how can therapy help us navigate uncertainty?
Yeah. It feels like something we just have to like deal with. Is there actually anything we can do about it?
We can't predict the future.
Right.
But we can choose how we respond to it.
Okay.
And one strategy is to focus on what we can control rather than what we can't.
Okay. So it's about like shifting our focus from worry and fear to like action and empowerment.
Exactly. And remember, like, uncertainty is a natural part of life.
Yeah.
It's what makes life interesting and unpredictable.
Right. So maybe instead of like resisting it, we can embrace it.
Yeah.
As an opportunity for growth and adventure.
Yes. I love that. That's a cool way to look at it.
I like that. What are some other tools we can use to deal with uncertainty?
Mindfulness is a game changer.
Yeah.
It's about staying present in the moment rather than dwelling on the past or worrying about the future.
Right.
It's like anchoring ourselves to the present moment rather than being like swept away by the currents of our thoughts and emotions.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in mindfulness.
Yep.
It's amazing how like simply paying attention to your breath can shift your whole state of being.
It's true.
Yeah.
And as we cultivate mindfulness, we develop a greater sense of peace and acceptance, even in the face of uncertainty. It's about finding that inner calm amidst the storm.
Okay, this deep dive is already giving me so much to think about.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we should be aware of when it comes to like maximizing our therapy experience? Wow, we've covered so much ground already. Like from shame and resilience to boundaries and even forgiveness. It's amazing how many like different facets there are to this whole therapy thing.
It's truly a multifaceted journey, and I think we've, only just scratched the surface. But, there's one more topic that I think is crucial to touch on, and that's sexuality.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be like such a loaded topic even outside of therapy.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental part of who we are, and yet so many people struggle with like shame, guilt, or confusion around it.
Totally. Like there's this unspoken rule that we shouldn't talk about sex,
Yeah.
even though it's a natural and healthy part of life.
Yeah, and that silence can create like a lot of unnecessary suffering. And therapy can be like this powerful space to explore those feelings and experiences without judgment.
Okay. So how do we even bring that up in therapy?
Yeah.
It feels so vulnerable.
Yeah, I think it starts with finding a therapist who is sex positive and non-judgmental.
Okay.
Someone who understands that sexuality is a spectrum, and
Yeah.
that there's no one right way to experience it.
Yeah. So like doing your research beforehand is key.
Hmm.
Like making sure your therapist is comfortable talking about these things.
Absolutely. It's about creating an environment where you can feel comfortable discussing your desires, your fears, your experiences, without shame or judgment.
Right. That makes sense. And I guess it's important to remember that you're not alone in your struggles,
Mm-hmm.
Like lots of people face challenges
Yeah.
related to sexuality.
Yeah, exactly. Whether it's like low libido, performance anxiety, or
Yeah.
difficulty communicating your needs to a partner, therapy can provide like a safe and supportive space to work through those issues
Mhm.
and develop a healthier and more fulfilling relationship with your sexuality.
Yeah. It's about like reclaiming your right to pleasure and intimacy, which is so important.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I want to switch gears for a minute and talk about technology.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much it's like transformed our lives.
Yeah.
But it can also be like a double-edged sword when it
Ah.
comes to mental health.
It's true. Technology can be like both a blessing and a curse.
Mm.
It connects us in ways that we never thought possible,
Mm-hmm.
but it can also be like incredibly addictive and distracting.
Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of spending way too much time scrolling.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah. So how can therapy like help us like find that healthy balance with technology?
Well, I think one important step is to like develop a mindful approach to technology use.
Okay.
It's about being aware of how much time we're spending online
Yeah.
and how it's affecting our mood, our sleep, and our relationships.
It's like checking in with ourselves regularly
Mhm.
and asking, is this technology serving me or am I like serving it?
Exactly. And setting boundaries around technology use is crucial.
Mhm.
Creating tech-free zones in our homes and establishing screen time limits can help us reclaim like our time and attention.
Right. It's about putting technology back in its rightful place
Yep.
as a tool
Mhm.
rather than letting it rule our lives.
Yeah, and remember, it's okay to disconnect
Yeah.
from time to time,
Yeah.
Taking breaks from technology can help us recharge,
Yeah.
reconnect with ourselves and others, and appreciate the simple joys of life.
Right. It's about finding that balance between the digital world and the real world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely going to be more mindful of my tech habits moving forward.
Me too.
Okay. This next topic might hit a nerve for some people, but I think it's important to talk about. And that is money.
Yeah, money can be like such a taboo subject, but
Yeah.
but it's often a major source of like stress and anxiety, which can definitely impact mental health.
Yeah, totally. It's like this unspoken rule that we're not supposed to talk about money, even though it affects like nearly every aspect of our lives.
It does, and that silence can create like a lot of shame and isolation.
Right.
And therapy can be like a safe space to acknowledge those feelings
Mhm.
and explore the ways money impacts like your life.
Okay. So if you're struggling financially, is it okay to bring that up in therapy?
Absolutely. It doesn't make you a failure or a bad person.
Right.
It's a common human experience, and your therapist can offer support and guidance without judgment.
That's reassuring.
It's like having like a financial advisor who's also like a therapist.
Yeah.
Guiding you through both the practical and emotional aspects of money management.
Right. Therapy can also help you like identify those limiting beliefs about money
Mm-hmm.
that might be like
Yeah.
holding you back.
Yeah, it's about uncovering those subconscious scripts that might be sabotaging your your financial well-being.
I could see how therapy could be really helpful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you start to like challenge those beliefs, you know, you can begin to develop like a healthier and more empowered relationship with money.
Mm-hmm.
It's about like reclaiming your financial agency and creating a future that feels both secure and abundant.
Yeah.
Okay. Shifting gears a bit. I want to talk about creativity.
Yeah.
You know, it's something I've always struggled with, like that feeling of like not being quote unquote creative enough.
Mm-hmm.
Can therapy actually like help with that?
Absolutely. Creativity is often stifled by like fear, self-doubt, and perfectionism.
Yeah.
And therapy can provide like a safe and supportive space to explore your creative impulses without judgment. It's like giving yourself permission to play, to experiment, and to discover new forms of self-expression.
Yeah. I love that. And remember, creativity isn't just about like artistic pursuits, right?
No, it's not.
It can manifest in any area of our lives,
Yeah.
from problem solving to cooking to parenting.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. It's about bringing that spark of innovation and inspiration to everything we do.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how creativity isn't about like being a capital A artist.
But about like approaching life with a sense of curiosity and playfulness.
Yes. And as we nurture our creativity, we tap into like this powerful source of energy, joy, and fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
It's like unlocking a hidden superpower within ourselves.
Right. I love that. Now let's talk about something that can make or break relationships. Communication.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Communication can be such a minefield.
Right. Yeah. It's like you're speaking different languages sometimes, even with the people you're closest to.
Yeah, it's true. It's the bridge that connects us to others, but it can also be like a minefield of misinterpretations and hurt feelings.
Right.
And therapy can help you learn to communicate more effectively, you know, both with yourself and with others.
Okay. So it's not just about like talking more, but about talking better.
Exactly. Therapy can provide a safe space to practice those skills, you know, in a controlled environment.
Yeah.
It's like having like a communication coach.
Yeah. Who helps you, identify your patterns,
Yeah.
develop new strategies, and build your confidence.
I could definitely use a communication coach. What are some key things to focus on when it comes to communication and in therapy?
Well, first, remember that effective communication is a two-way street.
Oh,
It's not just about like speaking clearly,
right.
but it's also about listening attentively and trying to understand the other person's perspective.
Yeah. It's about creating a dialogue rather than like a monologue.
Exactly. And it's an ongoing process, not a one-time fix. We can always learn and grow in our communication skills.
Yeah. Okay. I want to go back to something we touched on earlier, the mind-body connection.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to get caught up in our heads
It is.
and forget that our physical well-being plays a huge role
Mm-hmm.
in our mental health.
It's like a two-way street. Our thoughts and emotions can affect our physical health, and our physical health can affect our mental state.
Right. So can we actually like address that connection in therapy?
Absolutely. Some therapies like somatic experiencing focus specifically on the body and how it stores trauma and stress.
Okay. It's about recognizing that our bodies like hold memories and emotions, and that healing can happen like on a physical level,
Yeah.
as well as like an emotional level. That's fascinating.
Other therapies like yoga therapy, mindfulness-based stress reduction,
Okay.
and movement therapy can also help us, connect with our bodies, release tension, and cultivate a sense of like calm and grounding.
Right. It's about finding ways to move our bodies that feel both like nourishing and empowering.
Yeah, and remember, like taking care of our physical health
Yeah.
through exercise, nutrition, and sleep
Yeah.
can have like a profound impact on our mental well-being.
Right. It's like giving our minds the fuel they need to thrive.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm definitely going to prioritize those things moving forward. Now, this next topic can be like a tough one to talk about, and that is grief.
Yeah. Grief is like a wave that can like knock us down, leaving us feeling like lost and disoriented.
Yeah. So what role can therapy like play in helping us like navigate grief?
Therapy can provide like a safe and compassionate space to process those complex emotions.
Uh-huh.
It's about acknowledging the pain, honoring the loss,
Yeah.
and allowing ourselves to grieve without judgment.
Yeah. It's like having a grief companion
Yeah.
who walks alongside us on this journey,
Hmm.
providing support and understanding.
Yeah, and remember, like, there's no right or wrong way to grieve.
Right.
Everyone experiences loss differently, and
Yeah.
there's no timeline for healing. It's about honoring our own unique process.
Yeah. That's so important to remember. There's no should when it comes to grief.
Exactly. And as we move through, the stages of grief, we
Yeah.
can begin to integrate the loss into our lives
Okay.
and find new meaning and purpose. It's about finding a way to honor the past
Yeah.
while embracing the present
Mm.
and looking toward the future with hope.
Wow, that's a beautiful way to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, last but not least, let's talk about change.
Yes. Yeah.
It's one of those things that's like inevitable in life,
Yeah.
but it can also be scary as hell.
Change is a constant,
Yeah.
but it can also be incredibly daunting,
Yeah.
especially if we're like stepping outside of our comfort zones.
Right. So how can therapy help us become like more comfortable with change or even like embrace it?
Yeah. Therapy can provide a safe and supportive space to explore your fears and anxieties about change. It's about acknowledging those feelings and developing strategies for coping with the unknown.
Yeah. It's like having a change navigator who helps us like chart a course through those uncharted waters.
Yeah, I love that.
I like that. And remember, change is a natural part of life, right? It's what allows us to grow,
Yeah.
to evolve and become the best versions of ourselves.
Exactly.
So maybe instead of resisting change, we can try to like view it as an opportunity for
Yes.
growth.
It is. It's about shifting our perspective from fear to curiosity and viewing change as a catalyst for growth.
And as we become more comfortable with change,
Yeah.
we develop a greater sense of like resilience and adaptability
Yeah.
and confidence in our ability to like navigate life's twists and turns.
Yeah.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like I have like a whole new understanding of therapy and what it can offer.
I'm so glad to hear that. And remember, therapy is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
It's an ongoing process of self-discovery and growth.
And it's about like empowering yourself to live a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this question. What resonated most with you today?
Yeah.
What one takeaway will you carry with you on your own journey?
That's a great question to ponder as you continue exploring the world of therapy, whether you're a seasoned veteran or just starting out.
Remember, you have the strength within you to create positive change. And therapy can be like a powerful tool to help you unlock that potential.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of therapy.
Yes. Thanks for listening, everyone.
We'll be back soon with another insightful exploration. Until then, take care of yourselves and keep learning.